Wraps up the news for us this half hour. It's time now for a look at the business news. It's Cole Stangler joins me here in the studio. Hi again to you, Cole. The market sell-off is rolling on in Europe and on Wall Street.
That's right, another very tough day on the markets. Investors unable to shake off worries over the impact of the coronavirus, driven by a sense it'll significantly dent global growth shares in the U.S. in the red for a second day in a row Friday. Despite a relatively positive monthly jobs report in February, clearly overshadowed, though, by concerns over the virus. Dow Jones down over 3% there. S&P also down quite a bit, over 3.8% there. Similar story in Europe. Earlier, the FTSE sliding more than 3.5%. Losses on the CAC 40 here, more than 4%. Airbus shares taking a big hit, in particular after it said it failed to win any new aircraft orders last month. The DAX in Frankfurt also with some losses. Now, oil prices are also continuing a major tumble. So you can see here down more than 9%, really huge losses there. The West Texas Intermediate trading at around $41 a barrel. Brent crude, the international benchmark, trading at a little bit over $45 a barrel. Then that's down from back at $69 a barrel all the way in January. So crude oil now reaching its lowest levels since late 2016. Another reason why those oil prices are continuing to plummet, it's because a group of oil-producing countries has failed to reach a deal on just how much to cut production. They wrapped up a two-day meeting today in Vienna, led by Saudi Arabia. OPEC had proposed cutting an extra 1.5 million barrels per day until the end of the year. Russia, though, refused to lend its support to the proposal. Moscow apparently content with the group's previous round of cuts of just over 2 million barrels per day. Evidently, none of that has stopped prices from falling. Now, here in France, a government decree has taken effect that fixes the price of hand sanitizer for sale in pharmacies. While other countries haven't gone quite as far, price gouging is a global phenomenon. Ellen Gainsford has the story.
This French pharmacy has just received a fresh supply of hand sanitizer. Since the coronavirus outbreak began, it's flying off the shelves.
This will go in 2 hours. Normally, it would last 3 years.
To prevent profiteering, the French government has issued a decree regulating the price. A 50 milliliter bottle will be capped at €2 and a 100 milliliter bottle at €3. French customers are happy with the move.
It's very good. It means the product will be accessible to everyone.
Demand for these bacteria-killing gels has soared worldwide. In Sao Paulo, this factory is working around the clock to meet its orders, including from abroad. Hand sanitizer purchases in the US were up 73% in February. This pop-up shop for virus prevention supplies has opened to meet the need. Its owner is critical of price hiking, which is also a growing problem in the US.
When you go on Amazon and you see hand sanitizer for $50, you're like, well, am I going to pay $50 for hand sanitizer here? And it's like, no, it's just $5.
Some third-party online sellers have inflated their prices. In the UK, a gel that sells for €4 is now being sold for €126 on Amazon. And there have been similar prices in France. While in Singapore, one online vendor is selling 2 bottles of sanitizer for the equivalent of nearly €470.
In the Democratic Republic of Congo, much like elsewhere around the world, transport is a traditionally male-dominated sector, but that could be changing. 2 years ago, a businesswoman in Kinshasa launched an all-female taxi service. Now she's setting up a new academy to train up to 100 female drivers. Our correspondents Juliette Dubois and Clément Bonnereau report.
It'd be hard to miss them. These bright pink cars are a startling contrast to the usual taxis found in Kinshasa. Driven exclusively by women, they offer a high-end ride-hailing service in the Congolese capital.
Quelque chose ici, madame?
Avec plaisir, merci beaucoup.
Most clients are also women. Christelle says Uber's cabs are a more comfortable and safer way of getting around.
I've always been a bit scared to drive in Kinshasa because it's complicated, but seeing a woman behind the wheel, it really gives you confidence. It makes you realize that you can do it.
Yes, we can.
Launched 2 years ago, Ubis Cabs aims to make a big impact on the transport sector in DR Congo. The company has set up its own academy to train up to 100 female drivers this year.
Ce point-là, nous gardons nos engagements. Faire du client le roi.
Most trainees are recent graduates who were previously unemployed.
First of all, there was no such thing as female taxi drivers here in the DRC. So when I saw they were hiring women, I thought to myself, well, this could be an opportunity for me.
Uber's Cabs is the brainchild of Patricia Nzolantima, a Stanford and Harvard-educated entrepreneur who has high hopes for Congolese women.
Ever since I became an entrepreneur, I've always invested in women because I believe in women. I believe that African women will succeed where men have failed. Believe me, put women in positions of power and they'll change the world.
For Patricia, the sky's the limit. She now wants to expand internationally and compete with the likes of Lyft and Uber.
Meanwhile, in France, Uber is facing intense pushback from drivers. They protested today against pay and working conditions at the company, which classifies them as independent contractors and not employees. The U.S. firm has long defended that model, though earlier this week, France's top court ruled the driver had been improperly classified, a decision that could pave the way for many future complaints, and one this union activist agrees with. Take a listen.
They are not independent at all. From the moment you have goals to achieve, from the moment you're told, here you go, you must not exceed a certain cancellation rate, from the moment you cannot defend yourself because there's been a dispute between an independent contractor and a client, that's not independence at all, no. It's a company that manages employees under a disguised status.
And finally, Chinese firm Kunlun has agreed to sell one of its most closely watched assets. It's reportedly reached a deal to sell LGBT dating app Grindr to a firm in the U.S. Kunlun came under fire when it acquired a majority stake in Grindr back in 2016, with some in the U.S. warning it would give Chinese authorities access to sensitive data on millions of Americans, things like HIV status and private messaging. The U.S. government even imposed a June 2020 deadline for Kunlun to sell Grindr. Deadline the firm has now met. Rochelle, it might be a particular case, but part of a growing trend in Washington really trying to scrutinize app developers for the data that they hold, and lots of sensitive data here.
Well, with so much sensitive data being accessed, you can see why, Cole. Thank you very much for our roundup of the business. We're going to take a short break here on France 24. We're going to be back, though, on the other side with plenty more headlines for you. Join us then.